CX Collective Lightning Chat with Michelle Walter. Michelle is the Head of Design Operations at ANZ Bank, based in Australia. And it's a real pleasure to have you here today, Michelle.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
I sort of first came across you probably, I want to say 6 to 9 months ago, and I must admit I may have LinkedIn stalked you for a wee while. Really, because I loved all the conversation and the inputs that you have provided around what it means to build community and structure around design teams inside organizations. And that was really the first time that I came across what had a better understanding of what it means to really do design operations.
Yeah.
And I'd love to share with our audience today your thoughts around, what is design operations and how's it different from design doing?
Awesome. Great question. So I might start with the second part of the question. So what's the difference between, I guess, design operations as opposed to design doing? So design doing, I would say, is very much front of stage. Very much getting on the tools and designing great experiences for our customers or for our users. I say DesignOps is very much behind the stage. We're like the roadies or the team in the engine room that makes all the design doing happen. So very much how I think about design operations is thinking about, well, what do those designers need to really do a great job, to be really effective, to create those quality experiences for customers, and what's going to help them reach their full potential within our organisation. The way that we do that is traditionally we focus on a few key programs of work. We look at things like recruitment, so thinking about how to bring in quality design talent into different organisations. We have a fantastic onboarding program, so thinking about, well, how do designers join organisations and be really productive from day one. We have a whole tools and systems program where we give designers the best tools so they can actually do the doing. And obviously, as you mentioned before, this sense of culture and community is vital for creatives within organisations. So we have a whole events and experiences program that we run in DesignOps. And finally, we have our dedicated learning and development program, which goes back to my original point, was around really fostering, this sense of skills development and helping designers reach their potential.
That sounds amazing.
We're busy. Never a dull moment. Yeah.
When you talk about sort of culture and community, why is that so important for designers?
Yeah. I think that designers in organisations really thrive from working with other creatives. My organisation, it can be quite complex. It can be quite overwhelming. There's processes and policies and governance and risk. There's a whole lot of noise and factors that can really be quite, at times distracting for a creative who really, just wants that time and headspace to do a great job. And I guess, by fostering a sense of community and connection within our designers, it helps give them, I guess, their own time and creative headspace away from the noise. Creatives work better in partners or as small teams to really, I guess, boost their own creativity and bounce ideas off each other. At times it can be challenging for a creative to bounce a great design problem from a business stakeholder. Not always, but sometimes it can just be more fluid doing it with a like-minded practitioner like a designer.
Amazing. It sounds like you are almost sort of a recharge station as well as a sort of container for a lot of collaboration and co-creation to occur inside a business setting that might have different priorities.
Absolutely. And that's where the cultural piece really comes into it. So, creating a sense of community and belonging drives a great culture of design. So not just with our designers, but also for our business community as well. What I found working at ANZ, I've been there 8 years now. We have a lot of interest from our business teams and our business stakeholders to understand how we work, how design can really help organizations with some really complex business problems. And I guess when I first started in my role, just reflecting, the sense of building a design-specific community was really important. But now broadening that out to have our business stakeholders come and be part of our community helps with collaboration. It helps break down silos, and ultimately it helps our designers be better practitioners because of that. And they're getting more of that business lens as well along the way.
I think that's really helpful for a lot of designers, I guess, who are often primarily focused on the customer need.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
what an amazing asset. I wonder if you can reflect back on the time that design operations became a thing at ANZ,
Yep.
right? And I'm sort of thinking, at what point should organizations or design teams think about setting up a design operations practice, and when is it maybe not a good idea?
Great question. So I would say design operations really started to become a bit of a thing or a discipline at ANZ probably about 6 years ago. It was quite new in the industry, and I guess pre-design operations sort of having its more formal title. We were called studio managers or producers or production directors. So that, I guess, we had always been around, but it became probably a little bit more formalized. And I guess the need to formalize the role was really looking at how do we support scaling teams. Um, and really making sure that our designers, as they grew, really had everything that they need to be successful within organizations, because building teams can be complex. And then you put a complex organization into it, and it can just become, as I mentioned before, really overwhelming. And I found that, as we were building out our teams, our designers just didn't have enough time to just design, which is what they were there for. So design operations, I guess, becoming a more formalized team within our context was really critical. So we started with 11 designers, and I've been there 8 years, and now we have over 200. And there's a lot of growing pains that come with that, a lot of complexity and problems to solve and needs of designers. So being there to support those teams as they grow has been a really important part and a foundation to really what we do. A really great example is tooling. Our tools landscape has changed so much in the last 5 years, and just keeping on top of which tool our designers should be using, which tool should they be using more consistently. When I started, couldn't tell you, had about 20 different design tools, and the spend was crazy high. So we've been really intentional over the last couple of years to think about, well, what are the best tools in the market? How can we really simplify our toolkit to create more consistency and foster more collaboration amongst our designers as well? So that's been a really important part of what we do. When DesignOps, I'm biased. I think even if you're growing a team, not necessarily from 11 to 200, but even if you're doubling the team, I would say is a really good case for design operations. Doubling the team means that there's more demand for design, and we want to give our designers, again, as much time and headspace as we can, so DesignOps can really lead into to take away some of the day-to-day tasks that they might be doing, really thinking more from a macro perspective. What does our whole community need? How can we drive a better community and connection? How can we give them the best tools? If I asked one of our designers to go and try and get Figma into our organisation, I think they would have left a little while ago. They just wouldn't have had the time. It's taken us about 2 years. So a whole dedicated program on tooling. So I guess that's the great part of what we do. We really think about, what our designers need in a much more focused and dedicated way, so our designers can, as I mentioned before, just do what they do best, which is designing.
Amazing. So I think as a designer, I go, I want DesignOps in my organization, right? Because it sounds like you're removing so many barriers and I guess things that are needed for design to actually deliver an impact.
Yeah.
But you take care of that, and so the value from a design perspective seems really obvious. How does the business get your value? Like, how does the business understand the value of design operations?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things that we do really intentionally is think about, well, how does the business define value? And how do our designers define value? And that's, I guess we're really lucky that helps us inform what we do as a practice, how we measure our success, and how we can change and evolve over time in terms of what it means for DesignOps to be effective within our organisation. One of the things that comes up time and time again from a business perspective is capability building. So making sure across the organisation that we have, the best staff that are going to be doing the best job that they can. And as an organisation, we're supporting them in terms of their skills uplift and helping them progress in their career. So when I think about the value that we can deliver, we closely align to skills development for our designers. As I mentioned before, we have a dedicated learning and development program that nicely aligns to organisational goals around capability uplift, and we've run that for the past 3 years. So I'm really grateful and really fortunate that a lot of how we talk about value is very much aligned to how the business talks about value as well. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I guess when we talk about design, or when we think about design, we often think about the customer, meeting a customer need, augmenting the customer experience. So I'm wondering, what is the role of design operations in making things better for our customers?
Yeah. So for DesignOps, our customers are obviously, down the line, or our end users. I would say that our customers are our designers. So we very much design the right experiences and set the right conditions for them, so they can in turn create those more quality customer experiences again in what they do. So when I think about our people or our end users, or I talk about user needs, it's very much our design community who are very vocal, I have to say, and will always tell us or come to us very much as a creative partner, as a creative problem solver, to help them get unstuck, to help create the right support so they can ultimately affect the customer down the line.
Brilliant. If there was one thing that you could sort of add to your DesignOps practice tomorrow, if there were no barriers, what might that be?
Oh, more of us. Never have enough design operations. I think just about growing the team, growing the capability. It's great, obviously, in the technology space. There's dedicated DevOps type roles as well. So thinking about where operations as a practice could really help other teams. There's product ops at the moment. There's research ops. And as we grow our teams, thinking about, well, where else could the operations type hat play a role in organisations? There's a ton of potential. There's always problems to solve and new areas to think about supporting. I think just growing the teams and probably broadening the reach a little bit more to other teams as well.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like something that's definitely very attainable, and by the sounds of it, on your roadmap.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
If there is sort of one thing that people should know when they think about design ops, what might that be?
I get asked often, how did you come into DesignOps? Did you study it? I think I'm doing part of DesignOps in my role, or I might be a business person. And I think so I didn't study it. I just sort of fell into it. I've always worked with creatives my whole career. I really love the creative process. But I always go back to if there's no dedicated design ops team within your organization, as a designer, and how you think about creating impact or supporting your team, what are the kind of design ops activities that you could take on as a design ops practitioner to make things easier, to be more effective? How can you engage your team a bit more? So even without a dedicated person, I still believe, or without, kind of coming from a studio management background, I still believe that there's many kind of activities or programs that designers could take on to make their teams high performing, effective, and engaged.
That's an exciting thing to, I think, really think about. And I know you and I will be speaking again in a couple of weeks'
We
time,
will.
part of the as part of the CX Collective seminar on the value of design operations. What are the things that people can look forward to when they attend the seminar?
Great. So I'm really looking forward to hosting our seminar in a couple of weeks. Thank you for inviting me, Sarah. So a couple of things I'm going to touch on. So today, very briefly, we've covered a little bit about design ops. I'm going to do a bit of a deeper dive into that, thinking about what it means as a practitioner, how to start building a team, or how to start doing design ops, even if you don't have a dedicated team within your organizations, to really drive effectiveness and efficiency. I'm going to be sharing some of the challenges and opportunities that I've seen in my role and within my team working at ANZ, and a little bit before that, kind of throughout my career. And then we're going to talk about this idea about value. And I'm going to share some real life examples about how we talk about impact, objective setting, thinking about key results, and tying it back into your organizational needs and your designers' needs as well.
Like what I love most about what you're sharing with us, Michelle, is I think the opportunity or the clear path that I see and the role of design ops bridging the gap between design doing and business strategy. And the link is so clear and so evident. And I'm really excited to hear more about during our seminar how that might show up inside organizations.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Looking forward to it as well.
Real pleasure talking to you today, Michelle. Thank you for making time.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. The rest of you have a great rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. The link to the seminar is just in the comment section, so feel free to click on it and join us. We can't wait to see you there.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
See you later.